Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Nacogdoches, Texas. This is the home of the Dragons, and tonight it's the regional semifinal between the Woodlands and your Rockwall Yellow Jackets. Hey, everybody, I'm Chris Curtis. Welcome inside the booth here at Nacogdoches. It's just me. So we're going to have a little fun here tonight with the little regional semifinal soccer. Now, this is the first time that Rockwall has been in the regional semifinal as a 6A school. Of course, they did last make this round, little different bracket. They did make this round back in 2007 and, of course, in 2001, like we said last time, way before the internet was even created, right? So this is big-time soccer for Rockwall. This is historic, and they're going to try to punch their ticket to the regional final for the first time in school history. If you remember, the Lady Jackets did this just a couple years ago. So now it's the Rockwall Yellow Jackets' turn to see if they can make a little bit of history. Now, it's just me here tonight, so I'm running a computer. I got Cassie Alvarez on the camera right now. She is a freshman at Rockwall High School. Very excited she was able to help me out just a little bit here tonight, as we were planning on using a huddle camera, but that did not go the way we planned, so we had the backup camera, so we're good to go. So the freshman is on the camera here tonight. Greatly appreciate Cassie and all she's doing for us here tonight. Okay, so how did these two teams get here? Let's talk about your Rockwall Yellow Jackets first. If my computer will let me. Okay. The Rockwall Yellow Jackets, 16-3-4 overall, 8-2-2 in district play. Of course, they were able to beat their rival Heath twice during that span and clinch second place in District 10 6A. So how did they get here? A lot of exciting soccer, of course. Overtime against Saxe, 2-1. That was an exciting game over in Garland. Then once again, a little stressful game over in Dallas. But they were able to take care of Skyline 3-2 in overtime. Both their wins came at their opponent's home field advantage. So they were able to beat that. They are road warriors. They're about 200 miles away from home here tonight, and they're going to see if they can take down the district champs over on the Woodlands side. Of course, the Woodlands are in. Let me get my official bracket here. Again, apologize. It's just me tonight, so a little slower. District 13. So how exactly did they get here? Overall, 16-3-4. They were 8-2-2 overall in their district as well. So how did they get here to Nacogdoches, Texas? Well, they made quick work of both their games. Their first game, not very hard. 4-1 against Benjamin Davis in the bi-district round. They had a little trouble last week, but they were able to squeak one out against Cypress Woods. Pretty exciting 2-1 victory for them. That is how they advance to this round. We're going to pause. We do not have a crowd mic, but we're going to pause for the national anthem. We'll be right back. All right, so I do apologize. Obviously, we did plan to use the huddle camera here tonight at Dragon Stadium. The coaches were awesome. They really tried hard to get us all set up. It just did not go according to plan, but that's okay. We have a backup plan, so everything is shipshape. We are ready to roll here for the regional semifinal. Of course, it is Rockwall versus the Woodlands. Now, if you're wondering about the matchups against the Woodlands, there have been some good ones in the past between Rockwall and the Woodlands. Of course, the one that everyone probably remembers the most was a Rodney Webb-led Rockwall Yellow Jacket football team. Of course, Rockwall, the big-time underdog, 6-6, went into the Woodlands, an undefeated Woodlands, at their house and beat them. So there is some history behind these two schools when it comes to sports. They played in volleyball. They played, obviously, a lot in baseball. They have not played in softball, but volleyball, baseball, and football have been the big ones. Now, center stage will take the regional semifinal. The Rockwall Yellow Jackets will be looking to punch their ticket. It's March Madness to the Elite Eight. They will be looking to do that here in the next 3 minutes, officially a 7:30 kick, and they are living up to the hype here as they will start right at 7:30. Beautiful night here. It was supposed to be cold. It's still in the upper 70s. There could be some stiff winds coming in here pretty soon. The flag not flying very fast right now. So exciting times. It's going to be great weather for soccer. Really excited. Don't forget, if you're watching in via the chat, tell me where you're watching from. Tell me what you're eating tonight, what you're doing watching the Rockwall Yellow Jackets. Of course, we have Rockwall softball on the network tonight, and we have Heath Hawk baseball also as well on the network. Very excited for that as well. Enough of me. You're not here to see me. You're here to see the Rockwall Yellow Jackets. That's exactly what we're going to give you. We're excited. It is Rockwall soccer. Again, thanks to Miss Cassie for helping us out on the camera. We are just about getting ready to go here from Nacogdoches, Texas. It was about a 2-hour and 52-minute drive out here, but well worth it, of course. How about that starting lineup for your Rockwall Yellow Jackets, led by the senior Jack Gillian and Cohen. Those two will be your uppers right there, the forwards for Rockwall. Playing midfield, Manny Nolan, Andreas Pena, the sensational freshman, and Austin Hoffman leading off for those midfielders. And playing defense, it's Alvarado, Morgan, Connor, and Edward Bertrand out there for the Rockwall Yellow Jackets. They are known for playing some defense, and that's exactly what they're going to try to do here. They're going to try to score a quick one and then do what they do best on down the road. And, of course, taking the net as the goalkeeper for your Rockwall Yellow Jackets, Tanner Bailey. Of course, we will see a goalie change at some point in the first half, as we've been promised by Coach Tony Bowles, entering his 16th season as a Rockwall Yellow Jacket soccer coach. Cool as a cucumber, that Tony Bowles. He had his morning workout. He was feeling good. He was ready to go. And all eyes are on the regional semifinal here tonight for your Rockwall Yellow Jackets. Let's get ready to dance. It's the regional semifinal. And here we go. Of course, that scoreboard will be in your upper corner up there as we are going the wrong way. It is going down on the clock. So we are ready to roll here. From Nacogdoches. Don't ask me how to spell it. I can't do it. But at least I have a sign right in front of me that tells me how to spell Nacogdoches. It's a tough one to spell. Very historic city, of course, Stephen F. Austin, located here. A lot of Rockwall and Heath kiddos at SFA as well. The Woodlands getting going first, and Rockwall turns it over. Rockwall now with the ball, and they will have a throw-in. Of course, Rockwall rocking the orange jerseys with the black speckles, the black shorts, and the orange stripe, and all black socks. The Woodlands rocking all white. They are icy white here tonight. White shorts, white kits, and white socks as well. Of course, there are some Woodlands guys out there with some orange shoes. Very interesting fact there for the Woodlands Highlanders. I do not see the kilted man here tonight, so I don't know where he is. He might have gotten stuck in traffic. That Houston traffic, obviously pretty tough. But away we go here for the regional semifinal. The Woodlands taking center stage. They are coming up forward on the sideline there. As I get my Woodlands roster going here as well. There was a shot in the middle by the Woodlands. Rockwall is able to clear the ball out. That will be a throw-in for the Woodlands. Of course, shout out to my partner in crime, Reggie Webb. Had a little bit of a hair appointment this afternoon, so was unable to make the almost 3-hour drive here. I understand, but hopefully he texts in some advice and some ideas here, as you're just going to be stuck with me here tonight. Of course, wishing Reggie the best of luck back home, and hopefully after this round we can reunite, perhaps back in Dallas next week, or maybe somewhere in the middle, Waco week, where Klein Collins or Wiley await the winner of this one. Sorry, Klein Oaks, I believe, is who. We'll look at it here in a minute. Corner kick here for the Woodlands. Of course, they are going from our left to right. Little pooch kick, that's blocked by Rockwall. Of course, Rockwall is very well known for their stout defense. They have been all season long. Their plan is simple: get the first goal and defend the rest of the way. Here comes Rockwall. Manuel Perez gets it up to center field, and it's back the other way. And that ball is kicked out. A little miscommunication there by the Woodlands, but it went off a Rockwall player. So no harm, no foul. Of course, at halftime, I will try to get my music going here as well. We had a little bit of issues setting up everything here today, but we're on the air, and we're ready to roll here. Of course, don't forget to tell us where you're watching from and maybe what you're eating on this Friday night, the final Friday night of the month of March. We are almost to April, and we are getting closer and closer. Of course, the winner of this game will be halfway to a state championship. You have to win 6. Winner will have 3 in their back pocket. The loser, the long ride home of what could have been. Here's a throw in by the Woodlands. Rockwall does their thing and boots it out. Nice play there by the Woodlands, and there is nothing there. Rockwall playing very stout defense. Hard to see the numbers here for the Woodlands from this side of the field up in the press box here. Beautiful stadium here, by the way, in Nacogdoches. Of course, the home of the Nacogdoches Dragons. Big dragon statue out front when you walk in the stadium here. Of course, here's the senior leader, Jack Gillian, the captain, wearing that orange armband. And Rockwall with the throw in here. Of course, Tony Bowles rocking the backwards hat, the black playoff shirt, the black pants. He's got to have those Nike oranges on right now, that's for sure. Of course, his coaches, Chris Kane and Reese Lawson, have led this team to the regional semis for the first time as a 6A program. The last time they were, quote, in this round, I believe they were a 4A school at the time in 2007. Rockwall with a little bit of pressure here up the middle. Oh, it was almost there for the sensational freshman Pena, but it just gets away from him. And there is going to be a tackle on the field, and it's going to be the Woodlands ball. Of course, we're going to try to play with a little bit of replay here today. Of course, as I mentioned, it's just me, so bear with me as we go on this journey here together. A whole lot of windows open here on the laptop, so we do apologize. We're going to try to do the best we can to broadcast, do some camera work for you, and get you some cool graphics and whatnot. We'll get better as we go, I promise. So far, it's kind of been back and forth between these two squads. Nothing truly exciting at the moment. Of course, there's a Go Cal on the chat right here. Rockwall with the ball. Here comes Alvarado, the winning kick, the amazing winning kick from the corner just a couple of nights ago in Dallas to send the Rockwall Yellow Jackets on to the regional semifinal. Rockwall playing some good offense here. Nice, crisp passes down the sideline, kicked in the middle, and that's kicked out by the Woodlands. The Woodlands is also known for defense. They like to play a defensive style of soccer, just like Rockwall. So this could be a 1-0, 2-1 type of game. It probably will not be high scoring. That being said, we'll probably see 6 goals in this one. But you never know. More than likely, these two teams are plenty disciplined enough to play a 1-0, 2-1 type of game. My partner in crime, Lisa Trammell, watching in. Of course, Lisa had some early morning plans on Saturday, so unable to attend tonight, but she will be back in action next Tuesday. But I guarantee you she is at the softball game right now or the baseball game, taking some good photos. We appreciate Lisa and all that she does for us. Nobody better. 33:09 remaining here in the first half. Rockwall and the Woodlands. Winner moves on to the regional final. It could be back in Dallas. It could be somewhere in the middle, as a Houston school is competing versus Wiley. Of course, there is a chance Rockwall and Wiley will play in the 4th round. That would be a very exciting game. And it could be a home-and-home type situation, or maybe somewhere in Mesquite. Here's a shot on goal. It goes off the goal post of the football uprights. But apparently it went off Tanner's hand. So we will see a corner kick here for the Woodlands. This will be their second corner kick of the night. Of course, that first one was a little drop pass, nothing too exciting. This is going to be an actual corner kick. Nice kick there of header, and it goes over the net. It's probably exactly what you're going to want to see if you're a Woodlands fan. And here's the big-time kick from Tanner Bailey, the sensational freshman, Pina. And the Woodlands takes control, not until Rockwall says, not so fast, and they boot it out. Back to midfield we go, and Rockwall trying to get away. They're, of course, playing two forwards here. The infamous 2-4-4. And here comes the Woodlands down the sideline into the end zone. Rockwall kicks it out. But it goes off a Woodlands player. So Tanner grabs the ball, and away we go. Of course, Tanner, the sophomore, making a name for himself. He and Gordon, the tag team duo. Of course, they each see a session in the first half, and they each see a session in the second half. And in overtime, it's just whatever the hot hand is, or what Coach Tony Bowles believes is the hot hand. Here's another big kick by the Woodlands to no avail. Of course, thanks to all those that are tuning in, the numbers continue to grow, so we appreciate it. Laura Guthrie tuning in. We're watching from Rockwall. Elliot and Maddie are cheering on Uncle Chris Kane, as he coaches tonight's game. Go Jackets. Of course, assistant coach Chris Kane. What a coaching staff by Rockwall that Tony has put together. Of course, Chris and Reese, a big part of the reason why this team is where they are right now. Rockwall kicks it out to midfield. The Woodlands takes back over. So far, the Woodlands has controlled most of this game. Rockwall hasn't had anything too dangerous on net at the moment. Sort of kind of how the first game went last week, or earlier this week, and how the first game went over spring break. That feels like forever ago, but it was just 1 week ago. Here comes Rockwall taking up the sideline. That is Nolan Foster, gets dragged down, and there's a call. So Rockwall will get a kick here, probably about from the 35 on the football mark. As this will be Alvarado, as we mentioned, the hero of Game 2, the area championship, that magnificent corner kick that you saw right here on the Rockwall ISD Sports Network. Little kick to Jacob Archer. Archer with a nice kick, and it goes wide. Of course, we talked about that wind was going to be a factor. It's really not at the moment. I know that cold front's a little behind what they expected. We were expecting winds in the upper 30s to 40s tonight, but so far, nothing. It's pretty mild at the moment. Of course, we can pull that up here and tell you exactly what the weather looks like here. It's currently 76 degrees here in Nacogdoches, which is wonderful soccer weather, 64% humidity. You might see a little bit of cramping down there at some point today. But that wind is only about 6 miles an hour right now. But it will pick up here later on this evening. So we'll just have to wait and see. Got somebody tuning in from the Woodlands grabbing some Friday night spaghetti. Sounds pretty good. A little Italian food on this Friday night. Of course, last Friday of the month of March, as we are about to enter April. Which one of these teams will be almost playing into April? Here's a shot by Pina to no avail. That's cleared out by the Woodlands. I believe that's Evan Yu right there for the Woodlands. course, their sensational forward. I apologize. We got the Woodlands roster right at the last second, so trying to get into gear here for our Woodlands fans tuning in. The numbers are very hard to read from across the field here, but there's a steal. I know that's Pena because I like the blonde hair. It's very noticeable for Rockwall. Love the dew. Love the flow by the freshman. We've talked about him all season long and how dominant he is as just a freshman. There he is, just absolutely making some moves. He's going to shoot this, and it's there. It's chaos in the middle. Rockwall puts it in. Brandon Alvarado again. And Rockwall has a 1-0 lead here in this one. What a goal. What a shot. And Rockwall takes a 1-0 lead. I did not have the replay camera up. I do apologize. I'll get there, I promise. There's so many windows open in this, and having to do all this by myself is a little tough. I do not take for granted our other employees for the Rockwall IC that help us out each and every week. But say what you want to say about this Rockwall Yellow Jacket team. They are on a mission. And the Rockwall Yellow Jackets have a 1-0 lead. Alvarado, the last 2 goals for Rockwall in the playoffs. I apologize. That was Salazar. Salazar with the goal here. Alvarado is in on it. But that was Salazar. That's what they just announced. I could not tell if that was a 6 or 8. Either way, they both were in on it. And either way, Rockwall has a 1-0 lead. So if that was indeed Salazar, I do apologize for that miscall. Regardless, Rockwall has a 1-0 lead. And here comes the sensation. As Reggie says, he's 9 foot to start the game, and he's going to grow throughout this game. None other than Benjamin Conley. And there he is right there in the middle, causing some chaos. Rockwall gets it into the middle, again, trying to cause a little bit of chaos. And chaos is what they're good at. So now Rockwall has a 1-0 lead, and we're going to have to see where this goes from here. Of course, Tony Bowles says we got to get one, then we can play our game, which is defend all night. And here comes Pena. He's kind of the one that started this out. He gives it a nice kick. Oh, it was almost a beautiful connection there to Gillian, but just off. The Rockwall sideline feeling good, feeling upbeat. As Rockwall has a 1-0 lead with 25 minutes here to go in the first half. As I promise, I will get that replay thing going here at some point. We have a lot to learn here tonight. Lots to learn by ourselves. We're excited to bring you this game here from Nacogdoches, Texas. The UIL State Playoffs. Thank you to the UIL for allowing us to broadcast this game here from Nacogdoches. Of course, if you're just tuning in, this game kind of was dominated by the Woodlands, but nothing too dangerous per se. Then Rockwall just took the lead 1-0 on a beautiful setup by Pena. We think it was Salazar. It could have been Alvarado. Either way, Rockwall takes the 1-0 lead here in the regional semifinal. Of course, we are expected to be rejoined by Kelsey Bowles, Dr. Kelsey Bowles, the wife of head coach Tony Bowles. We had an interview last week. It was the best interview you would ever hear. But Coach Webb decided to pull the plug on the power. We're just going to blame Coach Webb because he's not here. But we promised Kelsey once they won, we would have her back here this week. So we are going to try to have her back here at halftime for a wonderful interview at halftime. A lot of good things were said, too. We lost the transcript as well, so we didn't have anything for her. Very embarrassed, but I was able to talk to her later in the night after we left and said, I will make it up to you. We'll see you on Friday night. More shout outs to the Highlanders. Thanks for tuning in from the Woodlands. We greatly appreciate you tuning in to watch this regional semifinal game. Cheering on my brother-in-law and sis. Let's go Rockwall. Stephanie Turley, thanks for tuning in. JFND, Jacket Fight Never Dies. And they have proven that all playoff long. Terry Roan, let's go Rockwall. So the Rockwall fans are showing up here on a Friday night from across the country. Of course, we had some Oklahoma. We had some Canadian viewers last week. But all the Rockwall fans, as you can probably hear them through this glass, I'm sorry we were not able to get a crowd mic. We have to go 6 rooms down from here to get even essentially a crowd mic going. And it kind of was cosmetic as we were kind of up against the clock. We got here about 5 o'clock and we're trying to figure out camera situations for about an hour and 10 minutes. So we finally just said, let's set up our own stuff and let's roll. So had to take a breath real quick and get ready to call some soccer. So here we are. Rockwall, 1-0 lead. They're charging in again. Jacob Archer, the senior, tries to put it in the middle, falls down, and it is cleared by the Woodlands, but the Rockwall Yellow Jackets keep it back. That's Manuel Perez, loses the ball, but no worries. Rockwall is able to clear it. Another big block by Rockwall. Rockwall playing their defense, their airtight defense that they've played all season long. Of course, Rockwall would have a nice little win streak going if they didn't fall against Royce City. It was the night that they clinched a playoff spot regardless. It was also the night the Heath Hawks clinched the 10-6A district championship. So it really didn't hurt their chances at all. They were going to be unable to win the district championship. They did go on to beat Heath 1-0 in that final game. To clinch second place in District 10-6A. Of course, Longview and Tyler Legacy also making the playoffs. But Rockwall, the last man standing in 10-6A. Here's a great play by, let me see what number that is. Keebrun was right there. That looks like it's Keebrun. Yep. And here comes Jack Gillian. A nice pass over to Nolan. Nolan with a nice little dribble, and it goes out of play. And Rockwall is going to get a corner kick out of this. Rockwall knows exactly what they're doing, talking to Tony Bowles before the game. They have a plan here. They know what they're going to do. Now they're playing with a 1-0 lead in the regional semifinal. Here comes the kick from the corner. And it just is cleared out by the Woodlands. Another dangerous opportunity there from Rockwall. Woodlands can do nothing but kick it out. That'll be Rockwall's ball. Katie Ballard tuning in. Rockwall volleyball. She is up in Spokane, Washington. And of course, she's playing volleyball, of course. I mean, what else? Shout out to Katie tuning in. Thanks for tuning in. Of course, the Rockwall Lady Jackets, another tremendous volleyball season under Coach Travis Ferguson. And here comes that goalie keeper change. Tanner Bailey comes out. Wasn't really pressured much in that. 15 minutes or so he was in there. And now we see Gordon Holland in net. You got to think for most teams, this is a little unusual when they play against this. Why did you pull your goalkeeper when he was doing just fine? Well, that's just what Tony Bowles wants to do. There's a method to the madness of the great Tony Bowles. He's trying to make a statement here in his first trip to the regional semifinal. Big time moves right there inside by Rockwall. They draw nothing. But a turnover, Rockwall shoots, and it's on net and to no avail. That was Keebron with the kick. Probably didn't get all of it. Rockwall was trying to draw a call there. They did not. That looked like that was potentially Jacob Archer here. Of course, this turf is about 2 years old, according to the stadium manager and head soccer coach of Nacogdoches. Appreciate them being so kind to us and trying to help us up everywhere they could. Called about every faculty member here at Nacogdoches to try to help us out with the huddle camera, but we tried. It's all in the try. So we've reached the 18-minute mark just about here. Of course, the Dragons finished third in their district. They got bounced in the first round, had a nice conversation with their head coach here before the game. And Rockwall just kind of doing what they do best, just kind of grinding the clock down, doing what they do. Woodlands finds a nice little path here. Here they come up the wing, and Rockwall just says no. There is nothing there for the Woodlands at the moment. They're going to have to figure this out pretty quick, as Mateo Cole was unable to get through, along with Andres Diaz. Of course, the Woodlands had a fairly easy by-district championship, 4-1. They had to work for their next one. Of course, both these teams had to work for their last one, but Rockwall had to go to overtime again. Kebron loses his cleat on the field there, so Rockwall has to do everything to try to help protect there, and they just kick the ball out. So a throw-in comes in for the Woodlands. And there's a kick on the goal. Gordon, big-time save. What a save right there by the keep, Gordon Holland. Fantastic work. I was going to see if we got that on replay. I don't think we did. We will get better, I promise. So Rockwall is able to clear it out. Here comes a kick from about the 50, otherwise known as midfield. Center field, whatever you would like to call it, the 50-yard line. Either way, Rockwall with their defense, passing it back and forth. Beautiful passes here, just kind of wasting that clock down. Here comes Brandon Alvarado, putting it inside to the 9'2" Connor Shaughnessy. Shaughnessy, I think I said that right. He is a big boy. He is only a junior. So he's going to grow again over the summer. Of course, Skyline found out how big he actually was. They had to literally bear hug him to keep him off of the score sheet on Tuesday night. And when we got here to Nacogdoches, he was out there warming up. Just put his hands in the air, and he was able to touch the top crossbar of the net. That just shows you how tall he is. And there was no effort needed in touching that top bar. It was effortless. Coach said he's just about 6, I think he said 6'7" is what he ranks in at. So he's a big boy. And he is coming off. Coming in now is Gillian. Coming in now is Chin. And coming in now is Hoffam for Rockwall. So Rockwall subbing 3 fresh jackets out there for Tony Bowles and his crew. Here come the Woodlands. A nice move. Gets around 3 yellow jackets. But the triangle is formed, and Rockwall is able to boot that ball out. Great play by Rockwall there. They are shutting down anything and everything the Woodlands has to offer. And here comes Rockwall on the fast break. That is Nolan Foster. Of course, Nolan is a sophomore. This team is fairly young. Of course, they have their senior leadership. But there is a lot of talent that will be returning next year. But this season is far from over for them. They would like to keep playing. Of course, next week, it could be somewhere in Waco, or it could be right back home. It literally could be home. If Wiley is able to prevail tonight, there could be a flip for home and home. So we just might be back at Wilkerson Sanders, or we might be at Wiley again. Or we could be somewhere very neutral. It's all in the air. Rockwall still has some work to do in the first half. 13 minutes remaining here. Tanner Bailey, shout out to him. Doug and Sydney Starnes watching from back home. Thank you, Douglas, for tuning in back in the Rock, the 75087, cheering on their Rockwall Yellow Jackets, seeing if they can punch their ticket to the regional final for the first time in school history. Of course, it would be the first time. It gets complicated because this is the first time they've been as a 6A school. So we know that for a fact. We know they've made it to the regional semifinal. They needed an extra game or two potentially, and not really remembering how the bracket was back in 2007. I believe Rockwall was still a 4A at the time. So regardless, the soccer is way better in 6A. Of course, 6A not a thing back in the day, but this is the best of the best the state of Texas has to offer, especially D1 in that big time District of Doom. And here comes the Woodlands trying to get something going here. Kind of some chaos created by the Woodlands. They're going to have a nice kick from the 20 if they want it. They don't. They pass on it. And Nicholas Suarez puts one up. Here's a header. And they put one in. So the Woodlands with a nice play. They passed on the kick from the 10. They pushed it to the sideline. And a header. And Gordon Holland could do nothing but watch that fall right behind him. And so we are tied. We are back to 1-1. Of course, Rockwall has been in this position before. They've trailed in these playoffs. They've been ahead in these playoffs. Of course, they had the lead late in that game over Skyline. They trailed for most of the night and or were tied in the first and second round. So they've been in a little bit of everything, but they have been warriors regardless. And so now, really the Woodlands' first dangerous shot of the night finds its way behind Holland. And Rockwall and the Woodlands now tied at 1 apiece. Shout out to Chris tuning in, Burnett. Let's go Rockwall. Big time Yellow Jacket fan. Thanks for tuning in. Here comes Rockwall. They're going to try to answer here. Here comes Nolan Foster. Foster kind of dribbling. Back to the 30. Passes it back to Brandon Alvarado, the hero of the area round. Shot in the middle and nothing. But Rockwall maintains possession. They put it back up top to about the 40. Inside to the wing and nothing there. So here comes Austin Hoffman putting it in, a header. And the Woodlands says, enough of this. We're going to boot it out. And boot it out they do. And this is going to be kicked out by the Woodlands. So Rockwall will maintain possession. Shout out, Vamos Rockwall. The whole Hine House is watching the game tonight. Trivia for halftime. Who is the best USMT player to come from Nacogdoches? We were talking about this earlier. None other than Clint Dempsey. We were wondering why they didn't have a statue here. They do have kind of a little sign over here for Clint. You'd think he would deserve some sort of major statue here. I know they were working on doing that, according to who we were talking to, but so far no statue quite yet for the great Clint Dempsey, who was from here. Here comes Rockwall, and it's the great Jack Gillian. He's on a mission. He is running down the field, takes two guys down, and that one goes off of the Woodlands. So Rockwall will maintain possession. 9:40 remaining in the game. Marissa says, let's go Rockwall. Shout out to Brandon. That's my nephew. Thanks for tuning in to the Rockwall ISD Sports Network. This is the regional semifinal. Rockwall took a 1-0 lead early in this one. And the Woodlands has just tied this game up 1-1 with 9:22 remaining here in the first half. So here comes a big throw in by Austin. Puts it in the middle of the net. Rockwall causes chaos and nothing there. They maintain possession. There's a big kick. Everyone's kind of falling around. Header back inside. And it's kicked out by the Woodlands. The Woodlands escapes that one. That one could have been dangerous. It was dangerous. So Rockwall maintains possession, and they're going to go back on the attack. Of course, Rockwall's been able to find the seams here over the last 20 minutes or so. They were kind of struggling the first, but they have found their rhythm. But the Woodlands has fired right back off of a header. Their really first dangerous shot of the night finds its way in. There's going to be a penalty on Rockwall, so the Woodlands is going to take possession of that ball. Shout out to Santi from the Woodlands, number 5. Thanks for tuning in to the network. Hope you enjoy this one. It's going to be a good one. Always good rivalry with the Woodlands. When Rockwall and the Highlanders meet up, it's always a battle. Few subs coming in. The freshman sensation Pina is going to come back in. Of course, Andre's rocking the bleach blonde flow. By far the best hair on this team, without a question. Of course, thanks to our friends from the Woodlands tuning in. Vamos Woodlands. Player to watch number 7. Hope I say this right. George Mola? I do apologize if I did not say that name correctly. But we do know he's number 7, so shout out to the Woodlands. Here comes Rockwall back on the attack. Nolan Foster inside. There's a big shot, and that was Perez. He was trying to find Jack, and it just got away from him. Jack. Quick little pressure. Rockwall gets it in. Oh, they had an empty net. Oh, my goodness. Rockwall had the empty net. There was a little miscommunication there by the Highlanders. They are yelling at each other, saying, what on earth? And I believe that was Manuel Perez who had a wide open net, and it went just over the net. So the Woodlands will kick it off. Great crowd on hand here for the Rockwall Yellow Jackets. They win the crowd battle. Of course, it's about a 2-hour and 53-minute drive from the Welcome to Rockwall sign. I pretty much calculated it as soon as I got to that sign. From right under I-30. Left right before traffic got bad. Of course, traffic's not bad in Rockwall, so it really didn't matter. This ball goes off the Woodlands. No, it goes off Rockwall, so there will be a corner kick coming here. About 2 hours, 53 minutes. From the great city of Rockwall, the 75087. Of course, someone is here to see who plays Wiley or Klein Kane. If you know the score of that game, please let us know. We'll try to check in as much as we can here throughout the evening to see if we can find the final of that one. Of course, the winner of this one plays the winner of that one. Here comes a corner kick from the Woodlands. And they find a nice little path. And oh my goodness, Holland, what a save. That was another dangerous corner kick by the Woodlands. But Gordon Holland says, not this time. Fantastic save there by the junior. Of course, a junior and a sophomore playing goalkeep. The sophomore takes the reins the first 15. The junior takes the reins the next 15. You will probably see Tanner start the second half and Gordon finish the second half. Of course, most teams that have 2 dynamic goalkeepers will usually like to play 1 half per, but Tony Bowles does it differently. Likes to create a little chaos. Speaking of chaos, here comes the Woodlands. They are driving off the side. Another kick. There's, nearly a bicycle kick. Just missed right there. That was a fantastic play by Moya. We're getting word that it's 1-0 Wiley. I believe that game is being played in Waco. I could be mistaken. But that game is also being played halfway between Dallas and Houston. But it appears Wiley is up 1-0 according to the chat. Thanks for keeping us posted on that, and be sure to continue to keep us posted on that. So here comes a throw in by Rockwall. They're deep in their own territory. That's a nice throw over there. Cannot see who that is. And it goes out of play. The Woodlands will take over. So there is word that game is now tied 1-1 as well. So we are tied 1-1. That game is tied 1-1. As Rockwall and the Woodlands tied at 1. Rockwall plays this one back, and a nice boot there by the Yellow Jackets. That was Jacob Archer. We're back on the Dragon logo at center. So Rockwall having to play some defense. Woodlands having a lot of pressure here the last 7 or 8 minutes or so, and that includes a goal. As Rockwall has a throw in from across the field here, or some like to call it the pitch, in the good old European game. Of course, the World Cup happening this summer. I know a lot of us are excited about that coming, especially to Dallas. Pretty cool stuff. Those tickets are not cheap either. Big time tackle there at midfield, and that was on, it looks like that was Andreas. So from literally the Dragon, a kick from the Woodlands. They go to the side, way across the pitch here. That one's booted in deep. Woodlands has a chance for a header. There's nobody there, and another just flub right there by the Woodlands, and Rockwall is able to run this one out. Clock is ticking, 2:12 remaining in this one. And Rockwall is taken down, and no call. Gillian was just dragged down, but nothing was called, and we play on. The refs, you got to give them credit. They are letting these kids play. There is a regional semifinal championship on the line. There's a lot to play for here. So they're letting them play. Coach Reggie Webb, really good first half despite the score. Most aggressive first half in a while for the Jackets. So that's good news from our partner in crime, Reggie Webb. And it's Austin Huffham. Thanks, Coach. I expect all the corrections here after the game and a post-game briefing after this one is all said and done. Of course, got Molly Curtis tuning in. She's not watching Ted Lasso tonight. She's watching some Rockwall soccer. Welcome in, Molly Curtis. And if you're wondering, yes, that is my wife, so we're good. All right, Rockwall puts it out to midfield, and a fight for the ball there. To no avail, it goes out of bounds, and Woodlands will take over. So 44 seconds remaining until we reach the end of the first half. It is 1-1, Rockwall and the Woodlands. Winner moves on to the regional final. Of course, we are expected to have Kelsey Bowles here at halftime. She has not made her way up, so we might not get Kelsey Bowles. We do have a microphone ready for her, though. Here comes a corner kick, the same way the Woodlands scored here just a little bit ago here in the first half. They're going to try it again, a kick in the middle. That one's a little high, but another header, and Gordon says nope. Gordon pushes this one out with 10 seconds, and he's going to be content with holding that ball, holding it 4, 3, 2, and 1, and that'll do it for the first half. It is Rockwall 1 and the Woodlands 1 coming to you from Nacogdoches, Texas, where Rockwall and the Woodlands are fighting for a spot in the regional final. And welcome back into the booth here. Like Reggie Webb just said, a very good first half by Rockwall. They felt pretty confident in that one. See if we can get another update from Coach Webb. Kelsey Bowles is here, so I'm going to take a quick little break. I'm going to get her mic'd up, and we'll rock and roll. We'll be right back on the Rockwall ISD Sports Network. All right, we are back here on the Rockwall ISD Sports Network. Kelsey didn't know I had a camera in here as well, so I was going to make it up to you by having everything pulled last game. So we had to bring you in here. The mic got pulled last game, so I wanted to make sure we did extra special for you. Dr. Bowles, thank you for joining us here. Here at halftime. It's 1-1 Rockwall and the Woodlands. Kelsey, break it down. What you think about that first half?
Well, it's always nice when you can score first. Kind of, sways the momentum a little bit your direction. When they respond, kind of deflates you a little bit. But no, I think it looks good. It's exactly what we expected to see. So I'm glad that our boys are stepping up and playing like we know that they can. So they're doing good. Absolutely.
And we talked a little bit about last game about your husband, Tony Bowles, of course, his 16th season here at Rockwall. What is Tony like on game day? I like texting him early in the morning, especially on game day. What are you doing? How you feeling? He was working out when I texted. I think we talked that he likes to lift on game day.
Yeah,
but
I guess that's new. I didn't realize
Didn't know that? Okay, well, he was lifting this morning. But what is Coach like on game day, especially games like this where there's everything on the line?
Well, honestly, I don't talk to him on game days. You probably talk to him more than I do. I try to just not text, not bother him. I mean, every probably like 7 p.m. on the dot, I'll get a text, game's about to start, and he'll text and say, love you. And he has his routines, like you said, lifting weights and all that, but he's always prepared, always focused, always positive, which I think, helps just with his coaching style. But yeah, this year it's different because the lifting weights and it used to be Chick-fil-A every morning. So at least this is like a healthier habit that he's done on game days.
He still probably had Chick-fil-A and sweet tea, obviously. Absolutely. Talk a little bit about what Coach Bowles bring to the table with these kids. Obviously, these kids, we call him cool as a cucumber. He's never nervous. He doesn't show it, at least. He's got a lot of swagger on the field there. Talk a little bit about how these kids just adapt to him, and they seem to just really love playing for Tony.
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with your captains. And so we've got some great captains this year with Jack, Manny, and Huddy. And it's fun to watch Huddy mature into that role. Obviously, seeing him as a freshman stand out just like Pena is this year. And then now he's maturing and really taking leadership. And they all have different personalities. So I feel like all of our captains this year are a little bit more quiet and reserved, which isn't a bad thing. But lots of talking on the field and leadership, helping make decisions. So I think the captains are always a big part of his coaching. And then, of course, our two assistants. He's known Coach Kane and Coach Lawson for a very, very long time. He'll like to tell the story of how long he's known them, but I won't embarrass them right now. I know their family's watching.
Oh, they are. We've had the Chris Kane family already tuning in here on the chat, so we're really excited to have them as well. Obviously, you have two little ones coming up, not so much little anymore, Truett and Kyler. Yeah. Talk about what it's like for them to have their dad out here. Obviously, they're big-time football performers. They're out there with Coach Brooks' kiddos. Coach Vonner's kiddos. Y'all are all kind of in this tight little group, which is just so cool to see how they all kind of grown up together. What is that like, having the Brooks family, having the Vonner family, having all them together with you guys and going on this journey all together?
It's really special. I mean, as far as the boys growing up, like, they don't know any different life. I mean, they've grown up on the field since they were babies and knew how to walk. So being at a stadium, they think it's their playground, and they're very comfortable. And this is, I mean, very passionate about the game and supporting all things Rockwall. But this is now kind of a special season that we're entering into, because now that our boys are at middle school together at Williams, of course, with Coach Vonner's kids, and Coach Young's son is there. Of course, Coach Brooks, the twins, are in 8th grade there. So getting to see them come up together is really special for us as parents, because, we just know we're that much closer to all those next. So, yeah, it's fun.
What's it like being a coach's wife in a game? You've already had 2 stressful overtime games to start this playoff run. Stressful couple of games, final in the district portion of the season. Hopefully, overtime's not on the horizon here, but it could be. But what's it like being a coach's wife, watching your husband and watching his team battle out there?
It's really stressful. I mean, I'm not going to glamorize it at all. But I think it helps because I've got such a great village. Of course, our village at home. So being able to rely on them, and then my parents travel with us, and they're our road trip buddies. Our boys are now older, so they get to tag along and help me and be a part. So I don't feel like I'm in it by myself, but it's still extremely stressful. I think the hardest part is just having to be mindful of how I act and what I say, and knowing that, I don't want to ever embarrass him, but we're passionate about the game, and you get into it for sure. So, yeah.
It's pretty hard to embarrass Tony, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's got a little bit of a swagger to him, as we all know. Of course, there's about 3:30 left here in halftime. Coach Tony Bowles out there talking to his team. No pressure at all. They're never nervous. Of course, we had you up here last game, and Rockwall was trailing in that game. You came up here. Yeah. Rockwall scored 2 unanswered and won the game. What are your thoughts here with about 3 minutes left? What are the thoughts for the Rockwall Yellow Jackets?
It worked out last week. Obviously, I was more worried about how embarrassing people are going to have to listen to me talk. Nobody wants to hear me. And you and Reggie both have great on-air voices. I not so much. Nobody likes to hear their voice. And so that's what I was worried about last week. And then I find out it was just my picture the whole time. And I'm like, well, that's even more embarrassing.
It was the Bowles family. And the Brooks,
Yep.
I think, texted in and said, we just saw your picture for 10
Lots
minutes. And
of
it was
confusion.
dead silence.
Yeah.
So we don't know what happened there. But that's what happened. The mic got pulled. I figured Reggie would text in a question here, but he just texted in corrections for me. So,
but no, last week it worked out. It's always nerve-wracking. Soccer can go any direction at any moment. So it's just a crazy game. But I think our boys look great this first half if they can keep that momentum. And I did provide Tony with a scouting report. So he knows the information that I've delivered about the Woodlands. And I know he's been watching film. He's prepared. He's ready. I think we have some Highlander fans watching. So best of luck to y'all. But I really hope that we, come out on top. So.
Absolutely. The Woodlands fans are tuning in as well. Big time game here, the Regional Semifinal Championship. The winner moves on. It could be back home. That game right now, Wiley and Klein is 1-1.
Okay.
So it could be back home. It could be a home and home. It literally could be at Wilkerson on Tuesday. It could be at Wiley, or it could be somewhere else.
This is a great stadium. It's a beautiful drive. We love coming to East Texas. So, and we've played at Forrester Field before.
Sure.
We love it out there. How does it feel to sit in here and talk to yourself?
It's very awkward. Reggie just sent me. This is what Reggie just sent me. So this is his halftime.
Those are your notes.
That's the notes
talking
for halftime.
Points for second half.
Talking points from Reggie. So he's got. He's still working. He's still on the clock. But yeah. So we'll have that here for you just a little bit. But Kelsey, Dr. Bowles, thank you for coming up here. Glad we got to make it up to you. And we'll see you Tuesday. How's that sound?
I love it.
All right, we'll keep it going.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, welcome back. Thank you to Dr. Bowles for coming in here and talking to us just a little bit here in the first half. We're about to kick off here in the second half. Coach Reggie Webb tuning in. He's still working. Jackets are a second half team, so you got to like where the boys are at midway through. Much more aggressive first half than we are accustomed to seeing from the Jackets. The Woodlands are an incredibly solid opponent, both defensively and in the attack. We talked about that on pregame, of course. So really positive to be knotted at 1 through the first. The key to the second half for the Rockwall Yellow Jackets, maintain possession and momentum. Rockwall has proven to be a strong second half team all season. Last match, Rockwall really amped up after halftime against Skyland, and it was the difference that needs to happen again here tonight. Reggie Webb still earning his keep over there from the great city of Rockwall. I hope your hair looks good, Reggie, because you skipped out for a hair appointment, so we will hold you against that. But you still are the best-looking Webb. There is no questions about that. So we are just about getting ready to go here for the second half between the Woodlands and Rockwall. Winner moves on to the regional final. It is 1-1. And we are excited for this one. A lot on the line. It's Rockwall. It's the Woodlands. Rockwall has the ball, and they boot it down the field to start the second half. You read the chat real quick as we get behind here. Of course, the score is 1-1. We adjusted Kelsey's mic. And go Uncle Tony, assuming that means Tony Bowles. Shout out to Uncle Tony down there, standing in his backwards hat, gray Rockwall hat with the playoff shirt and the black pants. And, of course, those orange Nikes. Rockwall booting it back out. Let me get that clock started. I do apologize. Like I said, it is just me up here tonight. So we're a little slower than usual. We're dabbing with the replays. Haven't quite gotten it done yet, just because it is just me out here. But we're going to work on it. Shout out to Nathan Tran tuning in, Rockwall ISD's biggest fan. Thanks for tuning in, Nathan. Hope everything is well back in Rockwall. Rockwall boots it out from the 20, and they put it right back into play. Nice header there. Here comes Jack. Captain Jack. There it is. There's a shot. Oh, it goes off the crossbar. Oh, that close from Rockwall, taking a 2-1 lead early in this second half. That was exactly what Rockwall needed to do. Of course, as Coach Webb said, you got to start pushing the momentum here, which is what Rockwall tends to do in the second half. They become just a different monster when it comes to the second half. They kind of just play possum in the first half, so now is the time for Rockwall to amp up that energy, and amp it up they will. Of course, Tony Bowles giving his team a talk pretty much the entire halftime. A lot of positive energy there. You could feel it from Rockwall. There's no panic in this team. There never has been. They can be down. They can be up. There is just no panic. And this one looks like it might go down to the wire as well. Here comes the Woodlands on the attack. And it has turned over. That Rockwall wall of defense stops them. The freshman sensation steals the ball and boots it out. Missed that one. He wanted a foul. Didn't get it. And so the Woodlands now kicks it up to the top of the field, and away we go for the Woodlands. There's a nice steal by Rockwall. I cannot see who that is. I do apologize. But a nice boot there. Captain Jack takes it. And it's out to the 40. Rockwall plays it up, and they get the ball right back. Back and forth we go. And back in net for the Yellow Jackets is Tanner Bailey. And he boots it up. There was a little pressure there by the Woodlands. Tanner had nice, cool, calm, and collected there. He's on the ground. He might be hurt. He is down. Tanner is waving to the bench. Rockwall on the attack, however. Jack is with the ball, keeps it in play, and yeah, Tanner is down. He is absolutely down. And so when this ball Jack is taken down, and there is a call there. But we're going to have a sub here for Rockwall. As there is, Jack is down now too. He was dragged down. So we're going to stop the clock we're going to keep the clock running, it looks like. And now the clock will stop at 36:22. Jack is up and good to go. Tanner is staying in the game, hands on his knees. He's waving to the bench, stretching it out. He's going to be okay, it looks like. So we're going to play on, which is good news for Rockwall, that both these guys are staying in. So Rockwall will have a kick here. They kick it inside the middle. Chaos, and that one goes out, and a header into the dangerous area of the pitch, and Rockwall trying to get it back inside. Everybody is there, and to no avail, it goes right into the keeper's mitts. And there's nothing dangerous about that one. So Rockwall keeps Tanner in. Jack stays in as well. So we'll see if that little injury right there will affect Tanner in any stretch. It doesn't look like he's all favoring it, so he should be okay. Rockwall kicks the ball out. That was Bertrand. So I think we're okay here. We play on. The Woodlands is going to get a kick here from about the 8-yard line. Just kidding. They're going to throw it in from the 8-yard line. Maybe the 7. And they throw it in the middle. Chaos and falls. Here comes a shot. It's blocked. Another shot into the net, and it's saved. It went past Tanner, and Pena was there. Unbelievable. The Woodlands had a goal. It was an empty net, and Pena was in the back of the net and kept that ball from going in. Rockwall survives that one. Ooh, that was close. So Rockwall escapes what could have been a tragic situation there. And now they're on the attack. Rockwall, can they use that as energy? Here comes Captain Jack. Another Rockwall Yellow Jacket down. Looks like Alvarado is down on his knee. Rockwall. Woodlands tries to clear it. Does not. Here comes Pena. He's going to throw his hands in the air. And they call something on Rockwall. Not quite sure. That looks like it could be. That is Perez, who gets up off of his knee. He looks like he's okay. And we're going to play on. Not quite sure what happened there. But we play on. And the crowd is not happy about that when the Woodlands is going to try to take advantage of that. It's a throw in, but it goes off a Rockwall Yellow Jacket head, and the Woodlands will move up the field a little bit more. Yeah, that was a tremendous save there by Pena. Might have saved the season. We're going to remember that one maybe on down the road here. Of course, that ball goes up and into the uprights for 3 points. Too bad that doesn't count in this sport. We play on. Yeah, Tanner was on the other side of the net. Pena was back on the goal line and was just there at the right moment and kicked it out. Or else we're talking about a 2-1 Woodlands lead at the moment. So that is a game-changing play for Rockwall. See if they can take advantage of that one. Incredible. The Woodlands making another attack. Starting to find the seams here against the Rockwall defense, but Rockwall says no on this one, and they're going to try to get a fast break going here, and they do not. Woodlands takes it back all the way to the 10, and they're going to boot it out and put it back in the middle, and the Woodlands makes a little bit of a silly play there, and that's going to be a corner kick for Rockwall. Derek Whitson thought he had somebody there. He did not. And that ball sails into the end zone, back to the stands, all the way back to the fence, to the field house. And so Rockwall is going to have a chance here with a penalty or with a corner kick. And they're going to see if they can make something happen here. So Rockwall with the corner kick. It's inside, tried it, and they tried to kind of do what they did on Tuesday night to no avail. So Rockwall, or the Woodlands, excuse me, will try to have a goal kick here. Working on the replay here, folks. Just try to bear with me. We are going to try to make this happen at some point here tonight. Some nights it just doesn't work for you. It is what it is. So here comes Pena. Pena finding his way in. Rockwall with a chance up top and nothing. The Woodlands defense slows him down. Of course, we talked earlier in the game about the Woodlands being a defensive squad as well. We'd probably see a 1-0, 2-1 type game. Pretty much what we're seeing right now. Rockwall with a good steal. Oh, and the Woodlands defender saves the day. That was Santiago Morales. If he doesn't stop that one, Rockwall has a wide open net to shoot at. Pena is dragged down. There's a penalty. Woodlands saying, what is going on? But the freshman goes down, and the Rockwall Yellow Jackets about from about the 20-yard line. Shout out to everybody watching back from Rockwall and the great city of the Woodlands. Thanks for tuning in to the regional semifinal here on the Rockwall ISD Sports Network. It's 1-1. Rockwall boots that one, and that hits the fence from behind the net. So we play on. Both these teams attempting to try to feel each other out here in the second half. As we mentioned, Rockwall has been a second-half team all season long. The Woodlands has put teams away here in the second half this season as well. So you're looking at kind of identical teams at this moment. And we'll see what happens. It is soccer. Anything can happen. You throw the records out the books and you just play. Kick inside the middle for Rockwall, just above Pena's head, but it falls in his lap, and it's just over. Oh, and the Rockwall bench knew that was one they could have had. Pena probably wants that one back, but we play on. It's 1-1. Of course, shout out to the Lady Jackets playing softball back home against Royce City. Of course, David Sweet and J-Mo have the call on that one, and the Heath Hawks playing the North Forney Falcons over at the Hawks Nest. Shen Rodden with the call on that one. Big time night here for the Rockwall ISD Sports Network. Of course, we will continue to cover the Yellow Jackets as far as they go. And then we shift to the final sports of the 2025-26 season. Of course, district golf starts next week on Monday, and it rolls through Thursday. So we'll be playing a little golf next week, seeing who can advance to the regional tournament. Of course, Rockwall and Heath both represented in that one. The Woodlands has the ball from the 50, and they do a little trickery, and it does not fool the Yellow Jackets, and it's going to be right up there in the paint. The Woodlands has a chance, but Rockwall boots it out. No panic there. The whistle blows. It's going to be Rockwall ball. Looks like the Lady Jackets are trailing 5-1 to Royce City, but they do have two ladies on with one out in the bottom of the fifth. Thanks to J-Mo for the shout out there. Looks like they have the bases loaded now, so Lady Jackets are going to try to come back in that one. Here comes Rockwall, the 9'6" Connor, and we're going to get another corner kick for Rockwall. Is this the moment? I don't think we will stream golf. I don't know how we would quite do that. We could probably set up at the 18th hole. But the plan is not to stream golf. We may go out and just try, see what happens, have a little fun with it. But we'll probably just have our cameras and take some pictures and video and keep everybody updated on that district golf tournament. Of course, that all depends on what happens in this game. If Rockwall were to win, they would more than likely play on Tuesday, so we'll be getting ready for that. Here comes the corner kick from Rockwall into the paint. Nothing there. Out of play on the Woodlands, so we do it again. So Rockwall will take another corner kick here. Let's see if they can put something in here with 26:30 remaining. Here's the kick. It's inside. Chaos, a header. Nothing. Rockwall tries to kick it out and does not get it in, and the Woodlands will let that ball sail out, and it'll be their ball. So I'm about to give up on the replays here. It just is not working for me, but we will continue to try. Maybe next week. At least we're on the air. That's all that matters. Bringing you Rockwall Yellow Jacket playoff soccer. So 25-24 remaining. I will try to update that clock as best as I can here for you. And there we go. Substitution here. That does look like it is Cohen Salazar coming in for Jacob Archer, the senior. Going to get a little bit of rest before he goes back in. High five from Tony Bowles. Put the blue jersey on, get some water, and you're going to go back out there. So here comes Rockwall. Of course, Tanner Bailey's still in net. His time is probably going to be coming to an end here in about 5 minutes or so, as long as Tony Bowles keeps doing what he's been doing all season long. And Rockwall with a fast break. Here comes the freshman sensation. Beautiful pass. Chaos in front and nothing. Oh, what a play by the Woodlands. Incredible defense there to save the day. Both teams have had to come back with players in the net to keep something from going into the net. That was an incredible play. I'd like to give the kid a shout out if I could see his number. Wonderful play there by, can't tell you. It was a Woodland player. That looks like that is number 5, Santiago Morales. And that is Santiago. Great play by him. So Pina and Montego both have saves here. Here come the Woodlands. They're on the fast break. Inside, they shoot. Saved by Tanner. What a save. The sophomore with an incredible save. Rockwall and the Woodlands remain tied at 1. 2 great chances back-to-back for each team. And we stay tied 1-1. Rockwall tried to dump one in, and they weren't able to get a fast break on that one. The goalkeeper able to kick it out. Man, what a game here. What a game. With everything on the line. Looks like Rockwall has an injury. Can't tell who that is as well. So Rockwall is down a man at the moment. Nice play by Rockwall to kick it out, but the Woodlands has a numbers advantage. Here they come up top on the sideline, trying to work their way in. A player falls, and the Woodlands is going to kick that one out. I can't tell who that is down over there. I think it's Perez. He is down, and I didn't see what happened. I think the players were saying we have a player down over there. He is all the way on the Woodlands sideline. Rockwall fans not too happy about that one. But we play on. That player is up. I can't tell who it is. I think it is Manuel Perez. It is not Manuel Perez. Isaiah Ivy is going to come in for... That might be Austin. I can't tell. No, that is Brandon Alvarado coming over. He is gingerly coming over. A slow trot across the field. 22-20. Potentially left in somebody's season. It's starting to get to crunch time here in Nacogdoches, Texas. About 2.5 hours from the 75087. A little closer for the Woodlands, but they have more traffic, I would assume, than we had. So probably about the same time frame. Rockwall's trying to catch the Woodlands sleeping there. They do not. The Woodlands recovers nicely. They boot this one in. The freshman figures it out, and we play on at the 40. Rockwall trying to take back advantage. That's Perez. And a throw in by Rockwall, or throw in by the Woodlands, excuse me. And the referee says, hold everything. We have subs. And subs we will get. Going off there for the Woodlands, number 11, Evan Yu, and number 9, Thomas Santos. Coming in is number 7, George Moya. And sprinting across the field is Rafael Zanetti. Kerry Tyson tuning in. Is it windy there? The wind has definitely picked up. It's not as cold. Of course, I'm in a nice cozy booth, so I don't know. But when we leave, we have to travel down the stairs here at the stand. There's no elevators. We have to climb stairs. So we got our workout in here to start the day. It was nice, 84 degrees when we got here. Not much wind, and now that flag has picked up in the last 10 or 15 minutes or so. Kerry Tyson, of course, the world-class athletic trainer for the Rockwall Yellow Jackets. Of course, Jake Searcy is the one here right now for the Rockwall Yellow Jackets. I'm assuming Kerry is probably working the softball game, or he's just taking the night off. Either way, thanks for tuning in, Kerry. We appreciate you. Of course, it's Celebrate Athletic Trainers Month, otherwise known as National Athletic Trainers Month, in the month of March. So we appreciate all of our trainers across the district, everything they do for us, including the student trainers. So 1951 remaining, potentially in somebody's season. The Woodlands takes it in. They dump it in. They try to create a little bit there, and Tanner says nope with his foot. Just to keep everybody on what could come. If 19 minutes goes by and nobody else scores, we go to overtime. But it is not sudden death overtime. It is 2 10-minute halves. So you can score in the first overtime. The game is not over yet. So we play 20 more minutes regardless. And then, if that doesn't settle it, we go to a sudden death shootout. Each team gets 5 shooters, and you know the drill from there. Somebody's season ends at the hands of penalty kicks. The Lady Jackets were able to eliminate some teams in their playoff runs in the past in the shootout. So good things can happen, but also bad things can happen. You'd rather not go that far. So if you're one of these teams, you're trying to put it away right now. Of course, both these teams play a defensive style of soccer. We kind of said this one would probably be a 1-0, 2-1 type of game, and that's exactly where we're heading. The winner moves on to the regional final. Rockwall has never been to the regional final. Is this the year that they finally break through? They've been to this round twice, 2007 and 2001. And here comes that switch in net. It's Gordon Holland coming in for Tanner Bailey. Tanner with some huge saves there in the second half. Season-saving saves. You can also give credit to Pena as well. As Tanner was out of position. After saving the first one, Woodlands got the ball back quickly, put it in an empty net, but Pena was there to stop it. So we go on. We play on Rockwall. Kicks the ball inside. That was Edward Bertrand. That one goes in the corner, and we are going to get a corner kick for Rockwall. This time, they're up top. You can hear the Rockwall fans. I'm going to try to mimic it as well here on the countertop, as we do not have a mic out there. A little chaotic here once we got going, so we do apologize. One day we'll get it all down. Here comes Rockwall from the corner. Hand in the air. Play has been sent in. Away we go. Rockwall. Header over the net. Tony thinks that's Rockwall's ball, but the referees say no, it's the Woodlands ball. Tony's still wondering what's going on there. Not going to get his wish. We play on. That wind is becoming a little bit of a factor now. If you want to give an advantage to somebody, it probably would go with Rockwall. That wind is blowing in their favor. The Woodlands is not. It is a north breeze now. It's probably pretty chilly out there. Window's not cold yet, so we're okay. We keep going. Back and forth we go. Rockwall with a little bit of momentum the last 5 minutes. Captain Jack with the throw in here. That wind is definitely blowing in Rockwall's favor at the moment, looking at the flag. It's kind of to the northwest just a little bit, but enough to give them a little bit of an edge here. So we'll see if they can use that to their advantage. Flag's kind of blowing left to right, but enough to give them that advantage. That ball is thrown in by a header. The Woodlands boots it out. Rockwall puts it back in. They're trying to catch the Woodlands sleeping. They do not. A header there by the Rockwall, the Yellow Jackets. That one goes out. Rockwall tries to save it. It will stay with the Woodlands. So Rockwall and the Woodlands, 1-1, 15 minutes to go. Potentially in somebody's season. Sure, none of these teams are nervous right now. We're allowed to be nervous. Why not? Of course, the winner goes on to play Klein or Wiley next week. More than likely Tuesday night. Good save there by Pena to stop the fast break from the Woodlands. Disappointed the Highlander did not make the trip out here. I do not see him across the field. Always fun to see the Highlander out there. Of course, if you don't know, he has the kilt and the bagpipe. I think he has a bagpipe. I know for sure he has a kilt. If any of the Woodlands fans watching in can answer if he's not available or maybe he's somewhere else tonight. So Rockwall heads the ball in. Rockwall looking for a fast break. Doesn't get it. Plows over a player. Is Joshua Chin. They play on. No call. Woodlands wanted one. They're not going to get it. Woodlands wanted another call. Not going to get that one either. They booted out of play. So Rockwall will have a throw in over on the Woodlands sideline. 13:41 left in this one. Couple of headers in a row. Make it 4 headers. And the Woodlands takes over. George Moya. And Rockwall, that defense shining bright here in the second half. Rockwall gives it up. Dangerous situation here for the Yellow Jackets. That one's put in the middle. It's 1-on-1. They're wanting an offside call. They're not going to get it. And be careful here if you're Rockwall. There's an empty lane right there, and that's going to go up, and the wind's going to grab that one. It's going to go backwards. Another ball put in the middle of the field. Rockwall was able to get there and boot that one at least out to safety to about the 30. So Rockwall avoids a little bit of a danger situation there. Fans wanting a offsides call, coaching wanting an offside call. Nobody got it. We play on. Of course, the refs have done a really good job about letting these kids play for the most part here tonight. Nothing major has really been called tonight. You love to see that in a game with this much on the line. So the Woodlands is going to get a throw in from about the 10. They cause some chaos in front. It's booted out to the 20 by Rockwall. Here comes a big shot, and that one's going to sail way over the net and into the piney trees in the back there behind the scoreboard. Of course, a lot more trees out this way. Now in East Texas, beautiful drive in from the 75087. Always pretty to come out here to the East Texas side of things. And so Rockwall putting it back in. Down the pitch to the 20. Rockwall keeps possession. The Woodlands knocks it out. And into the stands, Rockwall will take over. So is this the moment? 11:27 remaining. We'll get a throw in from about the 15. Well, he's going to keep walking up there. That looks like that is Austin Hoffman. He's lining up on the track. And he's going to pitch this one all the way into the middle of the field. And it's going to bounce in the air. Rockwall trying to get to it. Chaos ensues. There it is right there for Rockwall. Can they put it in? Oh my goodness. Rockwall was all alone. If he headed the ball, he could have just put it on his foot and tapped it in. That was Cohen Salazar. If he'd have just put it on his foot, he would have had a wide open net. Instead, he heads the ball across the field, but Rockwall will get another throw in here. This is going to be Austin once again. Rockwall throws it in. That's going to go off of a Yellow Jacket, so the Woodlands will take over here. Of course, Reggie Webb with some more advice here. With the wind being what it is, it's imperative that Rockwall keeps control on the ground. Every ball that goes in the air is 50-50. We've definitely seen that so far here in the last 15 minutes. This wind has really picked up. Of course, that wind is kind of blowing in toward us here in the press box. It hasn't quite gone all the way across the field. It is currently shifting. You can tell that it is. It's just about straight northern wind, but Rockwall picks it up. They're going to have a chance for a break here. They put it on net. It goes up and over the crossbar. And Rockwall is starting to find some rhythm here. They're getting a few dangerous chances and keep that ball a little lower. They're going to get one in here in a minute. And we're going to see Jacob Archer come back in. We knew he would. And it looks like Nolan Foster is going to come in as well once we get a chance for a substitution. So can Rockwall find the way to the regional final? Here in Nacogdoches, Texas. Dragon Stadium is the site. Rockwall trying to push it in. They do not. Woodlands takes over. They're really struggling with that win. You can tell it's a little bit of a battle to get up the field at this point. So Rockwall has the win for 9 more minutes if they want it. Woodlands kicks it out. Now that wind has fully shifted straight north. So Rockwall now flying into the wind if they want it. Can they take advantage? 8:49 remaining. Could somebody's season slip away? Or will we go to overtime? We will play 20 minutes regardless. The jackets are coming out. And by jackets, I mean the things that keep you warm in the stands. Rockwall fans wanted to call. Jack was taken down. We play on. Again, these refs are letting them play, which I think is great for both these teams. Don't let a penalty decide your season. Unless something is just absolutely drastic, they're probably not going to call it. Rockwall doing a good job of keeping the ball away. They might have been in trouble on that one. The Woodlands takes it on a break. They're going to get a chance here with a wide open shot, and they find a way. They put it out. It goes off a player. There's chaos in front. The Woodlands shoots again. They score. Oh, no. They find a way. Rockwall was all out of position, and the Woodlands takes a 2-1 lead with 7:46 remaining. As the Ole song plays in the background. So Rockwall is going to have to give everything they got and more. With 7:46 remaining. Rockwall crowd coming to life. If you're Rockwall, you're going to want both the goals they have scored against them back. Rockwall boots it in as they're going to try to put the kitchen sink on the Woodlands at this point. The Woodlands is going to try to waste as much time as they can. They won their last game 2-1. Are they going to do it again and move on? Rockwall going to have to throw everything they can at the Woodlands. Here they come on the fast break. The Woodlands shuts it down, and they click it out. So Rockwall needing a goal, 7 minutes to go. Is this it? An incredible run by Rockwall. The furthest they have been since 2007. The Woodlands on the attack again. They're going to put one in. It's rolling to the net. It does not go in. Potentially a game-saving save. That one was rolling very slowly. The wind might have helped just a little bit. And we're going to get a sub here. Rockwall's season hanging in the balance. Substitution coming in. With 6:22 remaining, a throw in by the Woodlands. They just throw it on the sideline to try to waste some more time. They're going to go to the corner and try to kill it. Pena says no, and up we go. Oh, the Rockwall Yellow Ducks swing and miss again, and a big-time kick-out save from Rockwall. That's going to belong to the Woodlands in a corner kick, and they're going to take their sweet time with this one. At least 30 seconds will fall off the clock here, as Woodlands is in no rush with this one. So 5:45 remaining in the game. They're going to play the corner game. Rockwall's able to escape it, and here they come up the field. Woodlands fights back, steals the ball, kicks it back. Rockwall puts it up to the 40, The Woodlands heads it back in. Remember we talked about the Woodlands and Rockwall. They both like to play a defensive style of game. It's what they're best at. So Rockwall is going to have to go against a tough Woodlands defense here. Can they make it happen? They've had their chances. They just haven't connected tonight. Woodlands strikes it out. The freshman steals the ball. Up he comes. Has some time, has some space. He kicks it up and is kicked back out. So Rockwall, 4:58, waiting for a call. They're going to get it. Rockwall, remember, they have the win now. Woodland's going to try to talk to the ref to waste some time. Tony says, let's boogie. Here comes the kick. It's up. It's in the middle. It's chaos in front, and it falls short. And the Woodlands boots it out. Woodlands goes right to the bench. The players don't even try to grab the ball. Of course, they're trying to grab some time. Pena already had a ball. We're ready to roll. Rockwall knows up there against here. Pena is trying to slice in from the upper top. Nice moves. Pena has it. He's dragged down. No call again. And he gets a call. He got it. Rockwall gets the call inside, and we're going to have looks like we're going to have a free kick here. So Rockwall with 3:53. It's going to be goalie versus player, and you know who's coming up. I would assume you know who's coming up. We think we know who's coming up. The goalie comes out and just knocks the ball out of the referee's hands to try to waste more clock. We're going to stop that clock, though. At 3:49, Rockwall, the goalkeeper's going to get a talking to here. So Rockwall is going to have a chance to tie this game up with a free kick. So here we go. Rockwall, free kick to tie the game. Tony wants noise. The players want noise. Are we going to get we're going to get a timeout, I think. 3:20. The clock moved. We're going to fix the clock. 3:35. Of course, the referee's looking at me. I don't control the clock here, so it's down there. He was looking straight at me, but I do not control the clock, so everyone's looking at me. I'm sorry, I don't control the clock. I do apologize. I wish I did. So we're going to say 3:49 on the clock. This is an extra wasted opportunity here. I mean, we're just wasting time here. 3:49 is on the clock. Here comes the kick. Ball's picked up once again, and ball's dropped once again. Rockwall with a chance to send this one to a tie game. Rockwall players hugging each other on the sideline, hoping for a win. They get it! Rockwall ties the game! Rockwall ties the game. Jacob Archer to the corner, and you know it's a party at the corner. Woo! Excuse me, that was Hudson Morgan that scored that one. Hudson Morgan ties the game up. It is 2-2 in Nacogdoches, Texas. What a game. So we will explain what happened with the clock there. Once the ball was dropped, the clock was stopped, but it did roll again. So there were 20 seconds about came off the clock. The ref did notice it before. And so they did fix the clock. There is 3:49 left in the game. Rockwall and the Woodlands tied at 2. So now we are looking at overtime. Incredible. So Hudson Morgan ties the game up with the penalty kick. Of course, he was the one that ended Those 2 games against Heath, one was a penalty kick, or free kick, you should say. The hero of the I-30 Classic. So now what happens? Can the Woodlands find a way to answer back? Rockwall has to stiffen up that defense right there, and they do. Both players run into each other, but they're going to call a penalty on Rockwall. So the Woodlands will get a kick from just about the 15-yard line. There's a shoe tying going on. Some more time coming off the clock. So this could be a dangerous spot for Rockwall. The 9'7" Connor is taking his practice jersey off. He might be coming in here. The kick is up. That one's going to sail way over the net. So Rockwall survives that one. Kerry Tyson, it is windy here now. I don't know if it's cold. I'm nice and cozy in my booth. Granted, I'm all alone here, but all is well. So that is now 3 matches in a row with a penalty kick from Hudson. He is 3 for 3 on all 3. So you want to call him Mr. Perfect. He is just about everything and more. Of course, we're going to see Hudson next year as well, as he is just a junior. But here comes the Woodlands trying to answer back. They get it inside. Rockwall kicks it out. Hits the sideline referee right there. That ball rolls all the way to the fence. And nobody has the ball, so that clock will start to run. Just kidding. There is a ball in the hands of the player of the Woodlands. So the Highlanders will have a throw in here. That one's thrown in the middle. Rockwall finds it with a header. Big time kick, and Pena was on the corner of that, the goalpost, just in case that ball tried to sneak in. And it definitely had a chance, but to no avail. Rockwall will have a free kick from Gordon Holland. So here comes Rockwall with 1:30 to play. In the second half, it is 2-2. Rockwall ties it on a free kick. Once again, Hudson Morgan, the hero for the 087. Can Rockwall find one more? The winner will move on to the regional final, either to play Wiley or Klein Oak. Rockwall tried to find a path there. They do not, and it gets past them. Oh no, this could be trouble. The Woodlands puts it up the field. Rockwall trying to play some defense. They do. Great play. Look at that. Even more moves by Rockwall. They continue on the sideline. That was incredible work there by Hudson Morgan. So Rockwall boots it in. They're going to steal it for the keep. Oh, no. They nearly had a chance. That's going to be off the goal keep. No, it's going to be off Rockwall. Rockwall nearly had a corner kick there with 25 seconds left. They do not. So with that being said, we are 20 seconds away from overtime. And that is probably going to do it. Rockwall with the throw in. Can they get enough time in? The throw goes in into the middle. Rockwall with the header. It's all alone. Oh, he had a chance to win it. Oh, it was on the foot of Hudson, and he just missed. That would have been a buzzer beater goal. But nonetheless, Rockwall and the Woodlands are going to overtime here in Nacogdoches. So we start overtime here. So I do apologize. I think we went offline. We are back, I hope. Please let us know if we are back and you can hear us. I think we are back here on the Rockwall ISD network. So please just let us know if you can see the game at this point. You should be able to see the game in front of you right now. As I am trying to get everything back, looks like we went off air just for a second. But we should be back. So please let us know if you can see us from out there in the great world. We are back on. I do appreciate you guys Stay impatient as signal went down just for a minute. We are back. Get everything set up here for you. As we head to overtime here in Nacogdoches. Beautiful facility here for Dragons Stadium, as they call it. All right, good evening, everybody. Of course, it is overtime here in Nacogdoches. I think we're all good to go. Everybody can see us now, so that's a good thing. So Rockwall has been in this position before. It is 2-2, and Rockwall, for the third straight playoff game, will be heading to overtime. Rockwall is 2-0 in overtime in 2026. So Rockwall will have a chance to go 3-0 here in 2026, which is incredible for this Rockwall Yellow Jacket team. Resilient all the way through. Overtime will start 10-minute first half, a 10-minute second half. You can score in the first half. Does not mean your season is over if once the overtime ends. We play a second overtime no matter what. If it does go past those 20 minutes where nobody scores, we do go to a sudden death 5-man penalty kick situation. And so do the math there, the best of 5. If you're tied after 5, you go 1 each. And then the winner is eventually decided there on free kicks. Chris Vasquez, thank you for the soccer input there. It's like I said, it's just me. It's my first really time doing soccer by myself. Of course, I did the Lady Hawks game the other day, so it's usually easier with a teammate. My partner in crime, Reggie, not here tonight. So you get me, unfortunately. I'm so sorry about that. But the Rockwall Yellow Jackets and the Woodlands are tied 2-2 as we go to overtime. And here we go. Overtime, a fact, is about to start. People saying they can't hear. I hope you can hear. So I'm hoping everybody can hear. It's showing good signal here, so we should be okay. We're going to get back to the game here as it's about to start. And I'm going to get the scoreboard up real quick. We're going to clear all this out of here. And we're going to get our scoreboard back up. Bear with me just a second here while we get it open and ready to roll. So there we go. We're going to call this overtime number 1. And we're going to put 10 minutes on the clock. And we're going to roll overtime. So if you're betting out there in the world of soccer, you're putting some fake money down, you might like the Rockwall Yellow Jackets in this situation because it is their specialty. They enjoy the thrill of overtime. Of course, Mesquite Billy tuning in. Who says I'm not a soccer guy? I'm just not a play-by-play soccer guy quite yet. I need a little more training. Of course, shout out to Blake Rhodes. I know he's tuning in from, I think he is in the Houston area, last he said. He wanted to turn around from a 2-hour drive to come join me. I said, watch some Ted Lasso this weekend, and maybe you can join me next week if we're still rolling on. So we might see Blake next week. Why not? Looks like Wiley has lost, so Rockwall will have to travel next week if they do win this game. Of course, the Woodlands will be a lot closer. Of course, both schools coming from the Houston greater area, so it'll be a little closer for both those teams. Rockwall trying to get on the bus again. Here comes the throw-in from the corner. Rockwall, and a big-time save by the keep for the Woodlands. Daniel Hine tuning in. Thanks for the positive encouragement here on a Friday night. Of course, there was a big-time play there. Austin Hoffman goes down. For those that know me, know that I'm a big-time hockey guy, so it's kind of the same thing as hockey, just a little bit different. So if you start hearing me throw some hockey terminology in there, you'll know why. Of course, a much different type of game, but both equally entertaining, and nothing is more entertaining than Rockwall soccer. Overtime again for the third time. Here's a kick in by Rockwall. Pena up top. He cannot get it going. And that one's going to flutter off to the top of the field, and it's going to stay with... No, it's going to go to the Woodlands. They were talking about it, and they decided the Woodlands. So that clock is ticking up. I do apologize. We'll fix it for you. We don't know where the game will be if Rockwall does win. Obviously, if it holds true that Wiley did lose, it will probably be somewhere in East Texas. It could be somewhere in Waco. Of course, the Forney girls are playing a Houston school down in Waco at the moment. I think Waco was an option, but most of those stadiums were full. So there'll be a few more empty stadiums next week. Of course, there's still going to be a bunch of teams playing, boys and girls. So it's just a matter of where they decide, both coaches decide they want to play. Of course, home and home is always an option. So here comes a corner kick for Rockwall. Trying to make some noise here in the first overtime. That one's a good ball, but it's going to sail out. So Rockwall is playing with the win first. So yeah, we don't really know where the game will be played. If Wiley had have won and Rockwall would have won, obviously it would have definitely been a flip for home and home. So it could have been literally at Wolverson Sanders, or it could have been at Wiley High School. But it looks like that is not the case, so we're going to have to travel no matter what if Rockwall is to win. So here we go. Rockwall kicking it, the Woodlands kicking it out here. This one's going to go all the way to midfield. Pena right there again with that bright flow. Going to have to ask him what his hair product is, because he's got it rocking out there. Rocking the number 25 as well, and he's just a freshman. We got a lot of him coming up. And he is not afraid of any moment. He looks like a crafty veteran out there. Here comes the 9'8" Connor. Connor boots it. He gets a leg on it and boots that thing about 40 feet in the air into the big-time bandstands here behind the net, as you probably can see those on your screen. So Rockwall keeping most of the pressure on the Woodlands here. Of course, they are playing with the win. The Woodlands will get this in the second overtime, so we'll see if it helps. That ball gets kicked and it just dies. Pena's right there, and they're going to send Connor again down the sideline. For a huge man, he can move, and that one's going to fall out of bounds again, and that's going to be back to the Woodlands, and we're going to be right back to a kick from the keep. Matthew Holland tuning in, a Heath Hawk legend. Okay? Congratulations to the Heath Hawks on an incredible season. Of course, District 10 6A champions for the first time in the 6A era. Shout out to the Hawks, Phil Duhan's crew. The Forney girls. Man, they're good. Of course, they're the 10 6A champs on the girls' side. Looks like they won again 4-0 tonight. So congrats to Forney. They are moving on. Of course, Forney with another big-time win against the Heath Hawks. Heath Lady Hawks softball team. They're now a game behind Forney as they lead 10-6A in softball. So it looks like Forney and Heath will battle it out in softball this year for that district crown. Here comes the Woodlands with their first chance across the 50 in this overtime number 1. Rockwall is satisfied enough just to push it out there and make the Woodlands work from the sideline. So here comes Rockwall trying to defend the lead here. Let's see what they can do in this situation. They kick it out. The Woodlands coming in, and to no avail. Rockwall clears it. Can they have a chance for a fast break? They do not. And so Rockwall, Pena kicks it out, and here comes Connor. He can fly. The big man. He has a man on the side. He gets it off there, and the keep finds it. It's loose, and it's not. The Woodlands wanted a penalty. The ball was loose, so Jack went after it. The goal keep is down. The clock still rolls. It looks like a pretty innocent play. That ball was loose at the time. But the keep is in obvious pain right now as he took a tumble for the ball. Of course, Jack is there making sure he's okay. They're calling in for the trainer. So we're going to get a little pause here. 3:05 left. And Tanner Bailey stays in the net here in overtime number 1. He will probably finish this OT1 off. So the keep is down for the Woodlands. So my roster looks like it could be wrong here. I don't have Benjamin Conley in the right number. So I've been calling him Connor all night long. So I do apologize to Ben, 9'8" Ben Conley, who has some wheels to him. He is coming out of the game, speaking of Ben. What a sprint down the sideline to cause that chaos right there. So my apologies. I had the wrong number for Ben. I had those two, Connor and Ben, mixed up on the roster. So I do apologize. So after all that, we have a goal keep switch for the Woodlands. And so that kick was sailed wide out by the backup. And so Rockwall will have a throw in here. Keep not happy about that kick, but the Wind got it. So we talked about that Wind pregame. And it could cause, here we go. It's a loose ball, and the backup keep comes in and is able to grab that one. He throws it down the 10-yard line, and away we go for the Woodlands. That Wind is definitely picked up. Like I said, we were talking about it. We thought it might not show up. It really hadn't shown up until halfway through the second half, and it has really picked up here in Nacogdoches. And Rockwall has been playing with that Wind for the last half plus overtime. So we roll here, and that one's kicked into the keep, and to no avail. They'll kick it, maybe. He might want to think about rolling it now because that Wind is really strong now. And away we go. Kick to the midfield. And Rockwall takes it right back. Rockwall has controlled this overtime number 1. The Woodlands has not really had much sustained pressure here. Rockwall has done a good job about locking it down back there and causing a little bit of chaos in front of the net. Of course, they do have that Wind at their advantage, so that does help. The Woodlands will get it here in 1:30. But Rockwall seems to have the pressure mounting right now. Can they get one here in the final 90 seconds? Would definitely help them if they could. So we play on. The Woodlands kicks it down the field. A header back into the Woodlands territory. Handball is called. And Rockwall will take over. 1:05 remaining. Do apologize, that clock had not started yet here on our end. Away we go. So Rockwall from about the 45-yard line, if you're a football fan. Booms it in. The Wind takes it as well. There's a chance for a big-time header. It's turned around. Players on the ball, and that one's kicked out. Rockwall is going to get a corner. So they have to hurry. 37 seconds. They got to get the play they want here, as this will be the last time they do have the win at their advantage here. 29 seconds in OT1. Can Rockwall do it again from the corner? They have time. They have plenty of time. 20 seconds. The kick is up. It's in the middle, and it's behind the net. The Wind got that one too. So the Wind can help, and the Wind can take it away. And the Wind took that one away, and we're going to see a goal keep change here. It's good to know that young man is doing just fine as he is back in the game. But we are heading to overtime number 2. And so with that being said, 10 minutes remain in somebody's season. Then again, we could be playing sudden death penalty kicks. You never know. So thanks to everybody tuning in here on the Rockwall ISD Sports Network. As this game has lived up to all the hype, of course, we talked about this game potentially being a 1-0, 2-1 type of game. Well, it's 2-2. Both teams have found the net twice. Rockwall was able to score in the final 5 minutes of the game to even this thing up at 2. The Woodlands thought they were going to get a chance to take this game away. They did not. So Rockwall is able to find an advantage, get a penalty inside, and able to get that kick that they needed to tie this game up 2-2. So we have 10 minutes remaining. This is overtime number 2. Everybody can score here. You can score and the game's still going to go. It doesn't mean once you score, the game is over. You have to play the full 10 minutes. If nobody scores here in the final 10, we will go to sudden death kicks. You get 5 players per side. Do the math. The best of the 5 kicks wins. If you're tied after the 5, then you go right back. And it's 1 versus 1 until you find a winner. The winner will be a regional semifinal champion. If Rockwall wins, they will be the regional semifinal champions for the first time in their school history. Never made it to the regional final as far back as I can go. I hope Coach Garcia is watching now. Hopefully she will correct me if I am wrong. But if I'm not wrong, that's what we've heard. We've heard they've made the regional semifinal twice, 2007, 2001. Of course, they were not a 6A school. They were a 4A school, I believe, at the time. Of course, 6A was not a thing until later on in the decade. But this will be historic for the Rockwall Yellow Jackets. Can they pull this one out? Of course, they've been the overtime heroes. The last 2 games, they have not made it to penalty kicks. They've ended it in overtime. So we'll see what happens here in the final 10 minutes. Woodland fans are tuning in. Of course, they're allowed. The Woodlands fans and Rockwall fans have had a great rivalry over the past several years. Always fun to play the Woodlands. We don't see them a lot. Obviously, being in Houston and Dallas, you don't really see them much in the regular seasons of anything, but you do see them here in the 3rd round of the 6A playoffs. That will continue after the realignment last year. You still have to go through the Houston district, so at some point in your playoff journey. So really cool to see all the Houston fans show up and get to play the Houston schools. A little new competition. These 2 teams don't really know a lot about each other except from what they see on tape. So it's brand new. It's a brand new soccer match. Never seen them before. Of course, it sounds like Klein Kane has won, so Rockwall or the Woodlands will face them in the regional final. If Rockwall wins, they'll have to travel either back out this way or they'll have to travel somewhere down south, Waco, Austin perhaps. You never know. There is no longer a regional tournament, so you go one side at a time, Thursday or Tuesday, Friday, more than likely. Sometimes teams like to play on Thursday. Next Friday is Good Friday. So I think there's decisions on if teams want to play on Good Friday. Most do. It's fine. So we'll see what happens here in the final 10 minutes of this one. Rockwall will get the ball to start, but now they go against the wind. So we'll see if that plays an advantage. Wind in your face for second OT. This is from Coach Webb. Jackets have to focus on maintaining possession. The wind will help keep the ball on your feet. No more long balls. Work the ball from the back midfield and be patient. Look for opportunities to earn free kicks and corners. If you get to PKs, he says that's a win. Of course, we had Dr. Bowles up here. She is our good luck charm at halftime. We got the interview. So hopefully that means the Rockwall Yellow Jackets can move on here. Rockwall starts with the ball. The fans are on their feet, have traveled 3 hours away just about. Able to stop out of Buc-ee's on the way, so it's a win-win for everybody. Rockwall just kicks that ball out of play. So the Woodlands will take this one from their own 10, throw it in on the ground, and now they get to play with the win for the first time this game. It's a turnover for Rockwall, though. They get the ball. They're going to go inside. Up top for Rockwall. Can they get the header? That thing dies right there. That's what you got to do with the wind here, and now you got to learn how to play against it. It's going to be could be your friend, could be your enemy. That one goes off on Rockwall, and so the Woodlands will have a throw-in. So here comes George Moya. Sends it off to Christian Tiberi. They're fighting about or arguing about who got the ball. It looks like it's going to stay with the Woodlands. There's a throw down to the 20, but Rockwall is there, and they head it out. Woodlands heads it back in, and away they go. Rockwall takes it deep into the end zone there. Rockwall falls. There's a free play right there, and Rockwall is there. That is Connor. We've been talking about him being essentially Ben Conley, but that was Connor right there. Now that the numbers have been fixed on my cheat sheet, and Rockwall is able to boot that one out. So it's been fun to get to know these kids here. Obviously, we cover every team in Rockwall ISD, so there's a lot of names to remember. Of course, every year it revamps just again when you get to know all these kids. So it's going to be nice to get to know a lot of these kids that are going to stick around for a while. Of course, you have your seniors that this is going to be their final year, but it's always nice to see the new fresh blood coming up from the JV. Of course, the ones that are on the varsity now, we'll get to see them again next year. But next year is nowhere close. They are focused on this year and trying to get to the regional final for the first time in school history in boys soccer. Here's a shot in by the Woodlands. They're going to play with it there. Pena trying to slow it down. He does. That thing is booted out of the... it's on the yellow line, and they call it out. So Rockwall now has the ball. 7:40 remaining here in overtime number 2. Are both these teams going to be content? It looks like Pena is down on the sideline over there. Looks like he got kicked in the shoulder just a little bit. He's up, stretching it out. He's fine. Freshman's not coming out of this game. These two teams have been pretty evenly matched. It's been a very clean match for the most part. For the regional semifinal, that one goes right through the Woodlands defender's legs, and they're okay because they boot that one out. So Rockwall is able to see that ball fly all the way down. A typical boot now will fly an extra 20 yards or so with that wind at the Woodlands' favor now. So here comes Rockwall. They boot it in. That one goes down to about the 20. Captain Jack trying to get there, does not. Woodlands able to sustain that pressure, and they push it out to midfield. Push that one deep. They're trying to catch Rockwall sleeping. That's not offside. It's completely on. But Woodlands turns it over, and away Rockwall goes. Rockwall trying to, there's a tussle right there. Rockwall trying to, and they call it on Rockwall. Great play there by Hudson Morgan, and there's a push in the back. And there's going to be a card. It's a yellow card. That is on Sebastian Pereza. He got the call to start. And they're going to give Hudson one too, it looks like. They're going to give them both yellow cards. So both players have to come out. The Woodlands got the first call. It was going to be their ball in the 20. Then Sebastian pushed Hudson. Hudson pushed back a little bit. So they both get evenly yellow carded. So that's about the most action we've seen here in this one. As far as feistiness has gone. So there was a big cluster of players up past the 5. They're all going to try to charge in here. That one's dangerous. Rockwall's able to get it out. Can they boot it? They do. And Rockwall escapes some danger there. That one could have been trouble. It was a great play set up by the Woodlands. Rockwall with the header. They push it out to midfield. The Woodlands able to take over again on the 40. They push it inside the 30. They get a pass through, but it's not going to matter as Rockwall kicks it out. Probably would have liked that one to go a little faster out into the end zone, but it does not. So Rockwall has to live with the throw in. So here comes a throw in by the Woodlands at the top of the field here from about the 2-yard line, maybe into the end zone at this point. They're going to try to throw it in. Big time throw. That one wiggles in there, and it finds a Woodlands player. Rockwall's trying to get it out, and they get it out. That one's going to roll and keep rolling all the way toward the press box, but not get out. It's going to be booted back in by the Woodlands. And Rockwall finds it. And they're going to call that one a handball. So the Woodlands will have a throw in here on the 23-yard line. Coach Garcia tuning in. Coach Tyson tuning in. Thanks for the words of encouragement here all by myself. Of course, Coach Garcia, the 2022 6A Girls Coach of the Year. It was 2022. It feels like forever ago. Here's a throw in by the Woodlands. They have a chance. They put it in. The chaos in front. And the Woodlands scores. Oh, that one hurts. It's been that's how they've scored all 3 of their goals. Rockwall has a fast break. I don't know what's happening here. I think this is a live ball. Rockwall has a chance. They're going to put it in, and they're going to score. I don't know what just happened. They say no goal. They say no goal. Well, I don't know what just happened there. The play had started. Rockwall had an 8-on-0 down the field. I don't know what was going on there. Tony is upset. Looked like they had a chance to set it up. Rockwall brought the ball to midfield real quick. I honestly don't know what happened there, guys. I don't. Rockwall had an 8-on-0. They score on it. And so Rockwall loses Hudson Morgan with a yellow card. And so Rockwall again will have to come from behind. They are down 3-2 with 4:17 remaining. They're going to throw everything they can and more at the kitchen sink. Here comes Hudson Morgan on the run. They're going to try to work it inside. Hudson down the sideline. That one's kicked out by the Woodlands. Shout out to Rick Larson tuning in from the Lady Jackets softball game. Appreciate Rick. Hope the Lady Jackets found a way to come back against the Lady Bulldogs. They were down 5-1 and they had the bases loaded from what I heard. Here comes a throw in by Rockwall. That one's going to try to get in the middle. Oh, Pena had a shot at a header. Oh, it was right there for him. That was a perfect ball. And they nearly tied it. So 3:35 remaining in Rockwall's season. Can they find a way? Another yellow card. And this one's going to go against Kebrun, it looks like. No, that is Nolan Foster. Nolan Foster gets the yellow card. And so Kebrun will come in for Nolan. So the clock has stopped, 3:35. And so the Woodlands are 3 minutes and 35 seconds away from advancing to the regional final. Ball goes out of play on the Woodlands. They're going to let that ball boogie down the sideline. Rockwall finds another one. They throw it in. Here comes Rockwall. Of course, this is a great learning experience for Pena out there. He's played some fantastic soccer for Rockwall. He is just a freshman. Can they find one more miracle for the Cinderella story of Rockwall, if you want to call them that? They would not call themselves Cinderella. They believe they belong here, and they have proven they have belonged here. Rockwall is going to try to do something with 3 minutes to go. There's a boot. That wind is going to take it and throw it in the air. Everybody misses that one, but Rockwall is able to find the ball. They advance it, and they boot it down the field. Captain Jack with the ball. Nice little play there. Woodlands gets a little careless. They boot it right to, that looks like it was Edward over there. It goes off his chest and out of play, and the Woodlands is going to be in no hurry. 2:30 remaining. So can Rockwall find a way? They need one goal in 2 minutes and 19 seconds, or their season comes to an end in Nacogdoches. The Woodlands is going to take this ball to the corner. They're going to try to waste some time and waste some clock. That's exactly what they're going to do. Rockwall finds a way to get it out, but they put it right in the middle of the field. The Woodlands swings and misses. Pena has it. Here comes Rockwall. Can they find a way? They have the break, and they go tumbling down. No call. There is a call. Rockwall is running out of gas here. Can they find a little bit more? They need a little bit more. Some more magic. Can they find it? Here comes Rockwall up to the 50. They put it in, and the Woodlands boots it out. Rockwall fans starting to feel anxious at this point. 1:30, 90 seconds. That one goes out of play. Rockwall has to get it out and get it out quick, and they do. Here comes Rockwall, and they boot it out. The Woodlands does. Rockwall has the ball, 1:24. They have to get it going. Rockwall has to get things going here. They have 1:15 remaining in their season. Can they find a miracle? One more. Help from Jake Searcy, the trainer. They get the ball in. Rockwall heads it in. Down the 20. Rockwall has to throw it all at the kitchen sink now. Can they do it? Down the sideline to the 10. Here comes Hudson. His final game as a Yellow Jacket. He's hoping not. The Woodlands boots it down the field. Rockwall has to get that ball. They do. Tony helps out. There's a player down. That is Austin. Austin Hoffman is down, 45 remaining. Are they going to blow it dead? They do. The clock stops. Everybody catches their breath. 44 seconds remaining. And so Rockwall with 44 seconds. They took the early lead 1-0. The Woodlands took a 2-1 lead. Rockwall fought back again. But in the second overtime, a chaotic corner kick finds the back of the net, and Rockwall has 44 seconds. Here we go. That one's out of play. Tanner finds the ball, blocks it as he does all season long. 34 seconds. Can Rockwall find one more miracle? They have to do it all right now. The Woodlands boots it out. Nothing there. Here comes Rockwall. No. They have to throw it in. Throw it in. Here we go. 23. They're going to kick it in. 23, 20, 19. Here comes the goalie. Gordon Hollins going in. They're throwing it all at him if they can. They're drawing up the play. They put it in the lane. Can they get a header? They find it. It's in the middle. It's kicked out. 8 seconds. And the Woodlands is going to run the clock out. And they are going to move on to the regional final. The Woodlands ends Rockwall's season in overtime. And the season comes to a halt for Rockwall. What a game by both these teams. They left it all on the line. And there are some exhausted players out there for Rockwall. And they gave it everything they could, and the crowd is definitely appreciating that effort. Every Rockwall fan standing and giving a standing ovation to their 2025-2026 Rockwall Yellow Jackets. A tough way to end the season. Of course, Rockwall, second in District 10 6A. They fall a game behind Heath for a district championship. They were that close to winning a district championship. 8-2-2 in District 10 6A. And then they fall down in both of their games, the by-district and area. They find a way to magically come back. They do it again here tonight. And it just wasn't enough tonight, unfortunately. The magic ends for Rockwall. Shout out to our superintendent, Dr. Villarreal, tuning in. So proud of our Jackets, he says. You won't find a bigger Yellow Jacket and Heath Hawk fan than Dr. V. So appreciate the superintendent tuning in. Thank you to Reggie Webb for giving us some insight today. He texts in, incredibly proud of this group. What an amazing season. We appreciate you, Reggie Webb, for coming on the broadcast this year. Let's do it again next year. I was hoping to get one more with you. As the teams shake hands there on the 50. As an amazing season comes to an end for this Rockwall Yellow Jacket squad, the furthest they've been, essentially as a 6A team, nonetheless. They matched the 2007 and 2001 teams, which was incredible for this Rockwall Yellow Jacket team to finally break through. There are a lot of these kids that are coming back next year. The exciting thing about Rockwall ISD soccer is every single team has a boatload of young talent. And so soccer is alive and well at Rockwall ISD. So Rockwall will salute the fans here one more time this season. That's their only 4th loss of the season. Incredible. An incredible run for these Rockwall Yellow Jackets. And Tony Bowles will get one more chance to talk to his team. Rockwall will take the bus ride home and start thinking about 2026, 2027. As we sit there and watch the Rockwall Yellow Jackets at midfield as the Woodlands will celebrate with their banner behind Rockwall. For these young guys, it's a good motivational tool to see what you got to do. You got to take it to the next level, and they'll be back next year for another ride at this as we move on to 2026, 2027. Well, that's it for us here on the Rockwall ISD Sports Network. We appreciate you guys tuning in, watching the regional semifinal. Record numbers here tonight already for a soccer broadcast. We'll try to bring you more soccer here next year. We're working on new ways, new ideas for soccer broadcasts. We appreciate you. Appreciate Cassie running the camera, a freshman at Rockwall High School. Got to give a shout out to her. She saved us last minute. We found somebody, so shout out to Cassie, who is a freshman at R9. Appreciate her running the camera all night for us. Her first time, really good job. We appreciate her. And thank you for saving us on the camera here tonight. I want to thank Lisa Trammell. She's been my partner in crime, still is. Of course, she's back home taking photos at the softball and baseball games here tonight. She wanted to be here, but she has an early appointment tomorrow, so we definitely understand that. And shout out to my partner here in the booth, Reggie Webb. He just couldn't make it tonight, and we understand things happen. And so I was hoping to get one more match with Reggie here this soccer season, but we will re-rack. We'll get a little better next year, and we'll roll again with soccer for sure. So we'll be back next week. We have a bunch of baseball, a bunch of softball, and maybe, who knows, maybe we'll broadcast something else. You never know here in the final 2 months of the 2025-2026 school year. So for Chris Curtis, thank you guys for tuning in on the Rockwall ISD Sports Network. Your final score, the Woodlands 3. Your Rockwall Yellow Jackets 2. Rockwall falls. The Woodlands are your regional semifinal champs. They will move on to face Klein Oak in the regional final. That's it for us. We're packing up. We're going back to Rockwall, and we'll see you next week. Have a great evening, everybody.